Thank you very much once again, and Mr. Hogan, thank you very much for joining us. We have been hearing a lot about the EB5 visa, but before we come to that, and changes have taken place there as well, I would like to begin by asking you about your two key focus areas, CMB Regional Centers, main reasons.
First of all, thank you very much for having me. And first, thank you for the IREX for having us event. Always very much looking forward to the opportunity to speak on the program. So our company, CMB Regional Centers, is primarily and entirely focused on the EB5 visa. So we don't work in the direct EB5 investment vehicle program. We only work with the EB5 Regional Centers. We were originally established back in 1997, so we now celebrate our 25th year in business. We were one of the very first regional centers that were established, and we're now one of the largest active regional centers in the industry. We get over 6,000 clients in 104 different countries. Of course, many clients from here in India as well.
What are the benefits of the EB5 visa program?
Yeah, so the biggest benefit of the EB5 program is it's permanent residency in the United States. It's a green card. It becomes permanent. It gives you the opportunity to become a U.S. citizen. So it's all the access to the United States that you want to have. You can be there, live anywhere you want to live, work anywhere you want to work. And it's one EB5 investment of $800,000 US is the minimum investment amount. It's good for your entire immediate family, so your spouse and your unmarried children over the age of 21.
Are all EB5 regional centers the same, or does a choice of regional center matter?
That's a great question. It's actually one that we always talk to people about. Not every regional center is created the same. Not every regional center is equal. So different companies do different types of things and perform different roles within this industry. Some regional centers that simply attach their name to a project and associate with it so that developer who's developing a specific project can access EB5 capital from investors hoping to immigrate to the United States. And there are other companies like mine that are truly a one-stop shop. We go out and we try and find projects that are best suited for EB5 investment opportunities. We structure those projects, we collateralize those projects, we create a loan in between a prospective EB5 partnership and that borrower. And then we go out and we search for EB5 investors that might be interested in those opportunities. And we serve as a fiduciary for those clients throughout their entire EB5 integration process. So it's always really important that you understand who the regional center is, look at their track records, look at what role they perform within the process. Make sure that you know every part of what they're going to be involved in and how they're going to help you develop.
What are the categories of professionals, businessmen, investors who can apply for this program? Who's eligible?
Everyone's eligible. So really, the only thing that you have to have is the minimum investment capital required to complete your EB5 investment. The primary driver for the program has always been high unemployment area projects. So high unemployment areas meaning areas within the United States that meet the unemployment threshold of 150% of the national average, or they can also be in rural areas. If you're in one of those two areas, you qualify for the minimum investment threshold of $800,000 US. Outside, it's $1,050,000. So primarily, companies that are structuring EB5 investment opportunities are looking for opportunities in the lower investment threshold.
Also, give us a sense, Matt, that as a result of the pandemic, the wait times to wait for visas are very long for H-1B and for other tourist visas as well. If you apply for a tourist visa right now, you'll probably get a date for 2024. Is that the same problem with the EB5, or no, it's a different category altogether, not affected by these delays?
So traditionally, the delays have mounted to EB5, but they've caused backlogs for clients primarily from China, but also from Vietnam and clients from here in India as well. On the last panel, you heard a gentleman mention that there have been changes to the EB5 program through the EB5 Reform and Integrity Act of 2022. That act was passed in March of this year, and it actually set aside visas and categories for these rural projects and high employment area projects that I just mentioned. And what those new set-aside categories will do is we'll remove the visas available to the general population of investors who previously invested and make them available to new investors, allowing them to kind of jump that backlog line that we started to develop. And so that provides a great opportunity for investors who are looking to utilize the program now under the current rules of the program.
And generally, what is the waiting processing time once you make an application?
So typically speaking, there's a few different stages that an investor will go through. At the point in time in which they make their investment, they also simultaneously file their first immigration form, and that's the I-526 petition. Processing times for that petition have varied greatly. When I first started back in 2011, processing times were just a few months. Now they vary. You'll see USCIS post on their website processing times, and they can look scary. I think they've posted processing times as long as 56 months. No one ever wants to wait for processing times. I think the rule of thumb in the industry is that somewhere in the area of about 24 months, petitions are typically processed. But the U.S. government, as part of that reform package, is also pressing the USCIS to do a fee study that will allow them to charge a little bit more in the fees for each petition, but then hire more staff and train that staff to bring that processing time down over the next couple of years. So the target processing time that they're hoping to get to over the next few years is as little as 180 days, which could be great for clients in the huge this industry.
Is there a preference for individuals, investors from certain countries?
Not necessarily a preference. You mean in terms of types of investment opportunities and things like that?
In terms of investments from professionals or businessmen from countries, I'm guessing that maybe some of the sanctioned nations, you wouldn't want investments from people from places like Russia, from even to some extent with China, right?
Really, there's not a preference. So, of course, the typical immigration policies that the U.S. government has applied have impacted people coming from different parts of the world in the past. Under the Trump administration, there was, of course, travel bans and things like that from certain countries around the world. Some of those countries still have restrictions on them today. Of course, countries like North Korea, and there have been some changes in immigration policy for Russians at this point in time. Nothing that impacts India.
What is the preference for investments for businessmen from India, professionals, to apply for these programs?
Yeah, businessmen from India are really interested in this program primarily because of the easy travel that the U.S. green card provides. And so, say you wanted to bring a business to the United States, there's different immigration categories that can allow you to do that. But they won't necessarily allow you the same levels of freedom. They won't allow you the same levels of ease of travel and things of that nature. There's also people who are interested in coming and working in the United States, or that may already be working in the United States under the H-1B program. The H-1B program is consistently gone through different changes. There's people who have talked about amending or reforming that program. And then when you start to look at how you become a permanent resident in programs like that, those are also categories, speaking of EB2 and EB3 categories, that are extensively backlogged for people from India. So the EB5 program really gives people the opportunity to jump into the United States a lot more quickly, remain here permanently, and not be tied to a specific business. Gives you freedom to bring any type of business you like over to the United States or to establish a new business in the United States, because at the point in time in which you have that green card, you have all the same rights as any other normal American citizen. The biggest differences are kind of the obvious ones. You can't vote in U.S. elections, and you don't hold a U.S. passport unless you're a U.S. citizen. But you can live anywhere, work anywhere, you can start any type of business from any type of business you want.
My final question, what should an individual be aware of while applying for the EB5, and what are some of the reasons why your application could get delayed or rejected, some common mistakes that people make?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the biggest things that I would tell you, and I'll back up a second too, because earlier when we talked about some of the requirements for the program, I was talking in the context of who can do EB5. It's really anyone that can make that investment. But what are the true requirements of the program? It's that you make your $800,000 US investment, and that investment creates new jobs in America, 10 new jobs. That is structured by the regional center. So we're going to pick a project that we know will create those jobs, underwrite that project accordingly, make sure that it's going to create the jobs that you need to be successful, and then we'll provide you with the reporting information that you need to be successful. But on the flip side, there's personal information that you need to be able to gather. And in order to do that, you have to work with your own immigration attorney. So there's preparation that goes into this that every person needs to know. You need to work with a trusted immigration attorney who's experienced, or potentially a chartered accountant here in India that knows law related to how funding can be aggregated and transferred from India into the United States. Because from the U.S. government's perspective, this is a job creation program, not necessarily an immigration program. They're interested in creating jobs. But when they look at it from the immigration perspective, they want to make sure that the people that are coming in are going to bring value to the United States. And if they're going to break any laws in their home country by way of currency transfer, or if they're going to bring money into the country that was from ill-gotten gains, or money that was not presented to the proper taxing authorities and things of that nature, then they don't necessarily want that money for those people in the country. So it's really important that you work with an immigration attorney and a chartered accountant that can help you through the process of identifying the source of the capital that you will be using to make the investment, and then moving that capital from India into the United States in ways that are lawful from an Indian government perspective as well as an American government perspective.
All right, Matt Hogan, thank you so much for joining us, telling us about the EB5 program. That was an enlightening conversation, and I'm sure clears a lot of doubts about the EB5.
Thank you very much.